Hello everyone and welcome back to the Oscars Movie Adventures YouTube channel. I did plan to record a bit of a hydrotherapy, physiotherapy update the other day, but didn't quite go to plan in terms of recording. I have gone back to hydrotherapy after a year, and this video is just to summarise me going back and my thoughts on how I think and how I see myself doing in these next few weeks, as well as my thoughts on the general physio and hydrotherapy department as a whole being really lackluster in funding at the moment. I think it's quite honestly disgraceful, the lack of funding in hydrotherapy. I shouldn't have to wait a year for hydro to come back round again. It comes back round in 6 weeks blocks. I appreciate that, and I appreciate funds are tight at the moment around the country, but there needs to be more funding poured into it. I think it really is getting to the point now where I've had to wait a year for hydro. Prior to my last block, I had to wait 5 years for it. Well, it's improved slightly since then. It's still really, really bad. As for the physio department, I've been off for 7 weeks now, from school after finishing my GCSE exams at the end of June, and I've not had any input from the physio whatsoever because the funding just isn't there. I have to say, I think my physios and the care team around me, family physios, are incredibly good in what they do, and I wouldn't be where I am without them, and it's not their fault that the funding is not there, but there needs to be more funding put into it, and so I've decided to take action, not just with this video, but with a broader spectrum of it as well. I mean, I get there's a load of stuff that needs to be sorted out at the moment in terms of the economy, but this is something I've felt really passionate about for a long time, that many departments in the NHS, in particular the ones that affect me and many others that have cerebral palsy and other disabilities like cerebral palsy, get really affected by, such as the physiotherapy department and hydrotherapy department. I have to travel across town to get to hydro in the first place, and even the travel is exhausting. As good as the physios are, they can't do it all. Sorry, excuse the dog in the background. But yeah, as good as the physios are, they can't do it all. So I decided to take action. I've wrote a letter to Sorona, the provider of the NHS hydrotherapy and physiotherapy services. I wrote a letter basically saying there needs to be more funding poured into certain areas of the physiotherapy department. Really, someone like me and many other people across the country need physio at least every, physio input from the physio at least every fortnight. I mean, my mum is amazing, but she can't do it all on her own. I can't do it all on my own, and because of the big gap between the physio coming in, sometimes I forget what I've got to do because there's so little communication. There needs to be more, and as good as the physios that are around there needs to be more funding poured in. So as well as Sorona, I've actually wrote a letter to the Prime Minister about my stance on this. I've had a clear stance on this for the last couple of years, actually. I talked about how I think, even though, yes, the country is struggling for funds at the moment, this has been a long-standing issue that I don't think gets talked about enough. it really doesn't. I rarely see this talked about anywhere, and if anyone, if anyone's going to bring it up, it's got to be someone who knows what it's like to have physiotherapy and to be affected by the lack of it at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I had surgery 18 months ago. I had hips reconstructed, and after surgery I got quite a bit of input, and that was probably the most input I've received over the last 4 or 5 years, but which is obviously going to be the case because I just had surgery, but there needs to be ongoing facilities and ongoing physio for those who haven't had surgery within a certain amount of time. Yes, surgeries take priority. I mean, I've experienced that myself, and I'm not against that. But the ongoing physio of the general disabled community is quite honestly, especially in South Bristol, disgraceful at the moment. It's not up to the standard it should be. As good as like I said, the physios are incredible, but the funding is not up the standard it should be. The standard of how much physio on a regular basis is continuing to get worse, and I've made sure I've got my point across, and yes, I've wrote the letter. I appreciate there's a lot going on in the country at the moment, but I needed to take action. I've wrote a letter to the Prime Minister explaining my stance on this and how having more money needs to be poured into the NHS as a whole, but in particular the physiotherapy and hydrotherapy departments. But I just wanted to go on a little rant here about why I've done this, and I will keep you updated. I will make more videos on this. I do want to broach this subject quite heavily because it is something that's really important to me. It is lacking, and I hope it improves, and that's why I decided to take action on what I believe is a very compelling case. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like this type of content, please show your support. It really does mean a lot. Hopefully I can start pushing the idea of getting more physio into many people. I mean, physio for disabled people and people who are physically disadvantaged has a huge impact, especially hydrotherapy, and the more people we can get on, I say we as in the entire community can get on our side to get more physiotherapy, to get more physios employed, so there's more chance for more people to have physiotherapy at the same time, because I don't think it should be happening in 6-week blocks, because that's too short of time. When you have to wait a year for hydrotherapy, that's just unacceptable. So, I mean, more people I can, hopefully get on side to make sure this idea gets pushed further. It really does help. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you take in consideration what I said. Thank you very much.